They're big corporate names, and today they're revealing big corporate losses. Qantas has announced a net loss of $245 million, its first annual loss since the company was privatised 17 years ago. It's cancelled orders for 35 Boeing 787 Dreamliners as it struggles with rising costs and a global downturn. Then there's Fairfax Media, the publisher of The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald. It's announced a $2 billion plus loss after writing down the value of its mastheads. Reporter Simon Palin has been doing double duty today at the Qantas briefing, but here also with details of that Fairfax result.
Well, Ros, Fairfax has posted a net loss of $2.7 billion for the full year. Now, this result is 7 times worse than its loss posted last year, which was $390 million. Now, Fairfax has said this morning that the outlook remains fairly grim for the company. We know that Fairfax's print assets are under considerable pressure at the moment, and it's also struggling amid a very weak advertising market. And, of course, Fairfax is undergoing a major restructure at the moment as it adjusts to a digital future. So there's lots for Fairfax to consider, a lot on the company's plate at the moment, and a lot for its investors to digest this morning after this result as well. At last check, Ros, Fairfax shares were down 3% in response to today's result.
Now, Simon, you're still at the Qantas briefing and Alan Joyce's announcement of a loss at the airline.
Yes, Ros. Analysts for Qantas were expecting a loss of between $200 and $250 million, and this morning Qantas CEO Alan Joyce has announced a net loss of $244 million. Now, this is the first statutory loss that Qantas has posted since it was privatised back in 1995, and there has been a lot of turbulence for Qantas this year. Its CEO Alan Joyce announced the grounding of the airline in a bid to head off industrial action. Now, Alan Joyce has announced this morning that industrial action cost the airline $194 million. That's a new figure. And the carrier has also made big losses in its international division too. Let's have a listen to what Alan Joyce had to say a short time ago.
Clearly, we confront very difficult and uncertain trading conditions in Britain, Europe and the United States. The fuel price is also uncertain. The high Australian dollar will continue to create ripple effects through Australia as retail, manufacturing and tourism adjusts.
And Simon, of course, Alan Joyce gave up his big bonus in the face of falling profits.
That's right, Ros. We learnt about that just the other day, that Alan Joyce will give up his bonus, but he will still take home his $2.3 million base salary. But he says the idea of giving up his bonus is all part of the airline's efforts to get its financials back on track. And, of course, like Fairfax, Qantas is also undergoing a major restructure at the moment that will cost the airline around 2,800 jobs. It's also cutting many of its loss-making routes, and it's also going to be splitting its international and domestic divisions from the start of next financial year. But despite all that, big risks also remain for Qantas, particularly in the domestic market where there's rising competition and there's also fast rising fuel prices. Qantas announced this morning that its fuel bill for last year was $4.3 billion. Now that's up from $645 million the year before.
All right, Simon, thank you.
Thank you.